Hi guys, it's Lars Lehmann once again, and this is
Andy Irvine. What's happening, friends?
Well, people, as you know, we both have been doing promo videos for Sadowsky over the past few years. Now that we're both here together, we thought we should talk about how we came to love the brand. And here we are. Welcome, Andy.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to see you again.
Man, it's been how long? Like 10 years?
Around at least 10 years, yeah. We met at one of the base camps. I think it was 2014.
14, yes.
And that's when we first met. And, here we are all these years later. And now we're working, with Sadowsky.
Yeah,
and,
who would have thought, man?
I know. you can't plan these things, or you can't, ever know where you're going to end up in this business.
That's right.
But it's great. I can tell you that.
Yeah. But you have a long Sadowsky history, don't you?
I do, yeah, because, I'm from New York, and Sadowsky is from New York. And in the 1980s, I was a young bass player in my teenage years. And at the time, the late night show with David Letterman was on. And, of course, at the intro of the show, the first thing that you see when Dave comes walking out to the stage is the curtain opens, and there's Will Lee with his Sadowsky bass. So us guys, especially us guys from New York, we were aware that it was kind of like, the Fender on steroids kind of thing, because it had active electronics and really impeccable fretwork and everything like that. And but when you're 15 years old, I think that they might have cost $2,500 or something like that, or $2,000 back then. But that might as well have been $200,000 to a 15-year-old kid. It was
so much money.
Way out of my reach for a little kid. Anyway, my teacher at the time, a guy by the name of George Sessom, he bought one. He went to New York. He was in a pretty famous band called Cabo Frio, and he was doing good gigs and playing all over the world at the time. And he went to New York and he bought this brand new Sadowsky bass that Roger had built. Was that the
famous green one
that you still have? The famous green one.
Right.
And so many years later, almost 40 years later, when he completely retired from playing, he passed that bass to me. So now that was my first experience ever playing a Sadowsky bass. And then all my life I wanted one, but it was just always a little bit out of reach for me. And I ended up getting to own the actual first Sadowsky bass that I ever played. And I'm telling you, without exaggeration, it is an absolutely spectacular instrument. You pick it up in the neck and all the years and all the playing, all the mojo that he played into it before it came to me. And it's a really excellent instrument.
And did that make like a huge difference compared to the instruments you were using prior to that?
It began in a way that was kind of blew my mind, because first of all, the guys in my band, guitar players and drummers, and I have a lot of basses. I'm a bass maniac, and I'm always kind of playing a different bass or whatever. So they don't just make note of it that often. But when I started bringing the green bass around, they're like, man, that bass sounds good, And same thing with front of house engineers. And in the studio, there was this recording studio in the small town where I lived. The engineer is like, man, that bass sounds great. And then he'd call me for another session and say, hey, can you bring that green bass again? So it's like everyone else was noticing it. And of course, it's a joy to play, and it has all that mojo and everything. And I was easily able to do me on it. That's what I love about the Sadowsky basses. Is I feel kind of like a bass that was made for me to do me.
Yes.
It's easy for me to do all my stuff on them. So
I did the sound check the other day, and we had people doing our sound checks, and a guy picked up my bass, and I was actually in front of the stage, listening to what this guy was doing, and I could hear my personal bass like for the first time through a big PA, and it just blew my mind. It sounded so good, like the Candy Apple Red 5-string J bass that I have. It sounded so good, man. I'm actually thankful for that, because I never got to experience that in front of a big, PA.
you know, and even on a different, like on a much smaller level, sometimes with my blues group, the Johnny O Band I've been playing in for 20 years, occasionally one of our close friends will come and sit in. And I'm like, yeah, sit in, because it gives me the opportunity to go out and hear what my rig and my bass sounds like. And it's really cool to be kind of like a fly on the wall. Of course, it's not my hands and it's not me playing, but you get the general idea.
You get the idea. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how did you first hear about Sadowsky and know about the brand or try one? Or
growing up in Germany, I had always heard about that mysterious, like, high-class company from the Big Apple. As I grew older, a friend of mine, who's a very famous upright player here in Germany, he owned I believe it was like a 5-string modern bass made in New York. When I paid him a visit one day, that was actually the first time that I was able to put my hands on a Sadowsky bass, and it blew my mind. Like, that B string was so well defined, and the playability was so good, and that was actually the first time I put my hands on a Sadowsky bass. As the years went by, I was with another company that I had an endorsement with. Sadowsky was always sort of like out of reach for me, like financially. But then all of a sudden, you know, we the bass camp happened here in Magnerkirchen, and I got to meet, you know, the Wilfer people, the lovely Wilfer people, Hans-Peter and Nico, and, you know, everybody else, you know, the whole team here. And then a couple years later, it just so happened that I received this email from Hans-Peter saying, oh, you know what, we're doing Sadowsky basses. I was like, what do you mean you're doing Sadowsky basses? Yeah, you know, you're building Sadowsky basses. We have this license agreement and stuff like that. Would you be willing to come over and shoot a couple videos with us? The rest is history, as they say, you know. And over the past few years, I just became, I would say, a Sadowsky addict.
In the years that I was involved with Warwick and Hans-Peter and Nico coming up.
Because you go back a long way,
I do,
right?
yeah.
When did you start working for Hans-Peter?
I think it was around, we started becoming pretty good friends around 2010.
Wow.
And then by 2011, I think was the first time, early 2011 was the first time that I came over.
Right.
And started doing demos and did an enormous amount of clinics all over the world, the sound of bass.
They sent you everywhere, right? China and
30
Japan
countries and 6 continents. It was wonderful. But towards the end of that era, we were at the NAMM show, and Hans-Peter and Nico had just met Roger for the first time. Mm-hmm. And it was just a cordial meeting, you know, hi, how you doing? I've always admired your work, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that was like the very beginning. And then I left and went in my own way and did my own thing and started Andy's World of Bass and, you know, got some different things, personal things together and everything like that. But I was kind of on the outside looking in. And I saw that Sadowsky relationship from a distance. I saw it starting to transpire and evolve, and then I was the Metro Express line interested me because I like an inexpensive bass that's good. You know what I mean? I mean, I like my expensive basses, and I have lots of them, but I really like a bass that's affordable for anyone, that anyone can afford, that but is at a level that a pro like you or I can play and really enjoy it. And, you know, I was in Colorado, and there was an ad or something that I saw on the internet of a shop down in Denver that had a Metro Express B-stock. So I go down to Denver. I was so curious. Mm-hmm. I wonder what Hans-Peter's up to. I wonder what they're up to. And I went down and I played the bass in the music shop, you know, and it was on sale. And I played. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It needs a little of this, a little of that, a little of my own special tweaking and everything like that. But I'm like, this is pretty good. It's got a lot of what my green Sadowsky has. It has a lot of that, you know, important things.
Yes.
So when I was playing it in the store, and I said, if I leave without this bass, because it's 2 hours drive, I had to drive 2 hours to go play it. I said, if I leave without this thing,
I'm gonna regret it.
I'm gonna regret
Yeah.
it. So I carried the bass up to the counter and I put my credit card on, and I walked out with that blue JJ vintage JJ21, the blue one that I have.
Yeah.
And
were those about like $700 back then?
At the time, they were something like that, $799. I can't remember exactly, but I got it as a B stock, so it was half that.
Yeah.
And it had some cosmetic thing that I couldn't find. You know what I mean? It supposedly had some kind of like a cosmetic issue or whatever that made it B stock, but I couldn't find that. And so I bought it and I took it home. And then I started messing with it and I started adjusting it. And I said, maybe I can change the pickups, you know. And I started, because I do that, you know. I like to make things my own by changing some things around and stuff like that. But that's what I did. I now have like 6 or 7 of the Metro Express. Because I'm a maniac.
Yeah.
You know, I started coming over and doing some videos and making friends and stuff like that. And then I was able to make friends with Warwick Distribution in the United States, and they were able to supply me with some instruments that I was able to buy for a good price. And it just made it possible for me to get a whole bunch of them. And I play them all the time. If anybody that watches my like videos and things of me gigging, see me out on the town gigging and everything like that, I've almost always got one of those basses. I love them.
I mean, to me, that's so funny because you obviously have had them all, like all those brands. You know, you've played all those instruments, and yet you are here playing those Metro Express.
Yeah,
basses.
I mean, I have Warwick basses, and I have a number of basses that are probably valued at least 10 times as much.
Right.
And they're great.
Yeah.
However, the thing about the Sadowsky bass, they're very light. Yeah. And I'm 55 going on 56 now, and I have some wonderful basses that I simply don't take to gigs anymore because they're too heavy.
Same here.
And what I love about all of my Sadowsky basses is that they're light. The 4 strings are 8 pounds, or roughly. And my 5-string, I have a Metro Express Candy Apple Red similar to yours, but I have the Metro Express version in a PJ, and that one is like just 9, right at 9.
Yeah.
So a big, strong 5-string bass at 9 pounds is just absolutely a dream because, I'm a gigging musician. I do, my groups typically play 2 sets per night, 2 hour and 15-minute sets. That's kind of the standard these days.
Yeah.
So I like a light bass.
Right. Do you still go out on tour a lot?
I don't go on tour at all anymore. The extent of my traveling nowadays is coming here to Germany, and I feel like this is really kind of a worthwhile thing to do, to be away from home. But for about 30 years of my life, I was a road dog, and I was always away, and I was never at a high level. I was always kind of in van bands and moderately well-known groups. So I was just touring at kind of a low level. And we didn't have the comforts of stardom.
Oh, yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time in a van driving on the highway.
Kissing the street.
Oh, yeah. And after 30 years of it, and then actually after I did all that world touring, doing the bass clinics and stuff, the road no longer called to me. I've been to so many places. I've seen so many different cultures. I met so many different people. I've been to so many different exotic and cool and different places than I'd ever seen before, like Asia and Japan and China and Australia and New Zealand and South America and Brazil, Portugal. I had been to so many different places. I had kind of seen enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I like coming here, though. I'll come here anytime that they invite me.
Yeah.
But I don't really go on the road anymore.
Tell me about the evolution of the Metro Express basses. Obviously now they have the 2nd generation of those basses. Yeah. They're just hitting the shops, as far as I know.
That's a cool story, and it's a very awesome evolution. What happened from my perspective, and I'm a little bit on the outside looking in. I'm kind of on a need to know basis, but what I've noticed was that, like in 20 and 21, COVID made everything nearly impossible to oversee and supervise. Meaning, if you were producing in Asia, you couldn't get there to have meetings and discuss with your production teams and to kind of supervise what was being done. And it made everything almost impossible.
Yeah.
It
was like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah.
And that first batch of instruments was good, but along the way, Hans-Peter and Nico found a different factory to become partners with. And I believe that it's kind of like, hey, send us some samples and show us what you can do. And they said, okay, and they sent some samples. And Hans-Peter and Nico are looking at these and going, these are really good, these guys are really good. So they decided to switch.
Right.
And the new factory, what they're doing is absolutely incredible because
it's a whole different ballpark, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the things that really stand out to me is the way, as soon as you pick it up, the way the neck feels. So let's face it, when we pick up a bass, the first thing that we notice is how does the neck feel?
Immediate response from the instrument.
I mean, it can literally make it or break it within the first 10 seconds of picking it up. And now with IFT, the invisible fretwork technology, and the nicely rounded ball ends on the front.
That makes such a huge difference, guys.
Yeah. It's got the
no sharp fret ends and whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
So it immediately feels like an expensive bass. Immediately.
Yeah.
And then, they went through and just kind of addressed a bunch of finite details like pickup mounting and having copper shielding in the cavities to make them noiseless, and
roasted maple necks.
Necks. And all of these things kind of took the Sadowsky Metro Express to a absolutely completely different level. And that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
And that's the demos that I've been doing. And if you're like me, I kind of need one of each. And you, it seems like
I'm the same way. I usually, personally, I have a thing for the Metro line basses, line basses, and I just received my third instrument, and I love them so much. I'm pretty much like you. I was on the road before my daughter was born. She's 11 now. I was on the road way more than I was at home, and I wish I'd had these instruments back then, because they would have made my life so much easier. I'm not only talking about standing on stage playing, but also the traveling. Obviously, there's hours and hours, like countless hours doing it too, when you're just carrying your bass on your shoulder, traveling on whatever airport or whatever.
Yeah, the airports is what really kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
the playing. We all love the 2 hours a day that you get to play. I mean, that's awesome. It's the you come off the stage after the show and you're on this high and you're just like endorphins. You're just like filled with this exuberant energy, and so it takes you a couple hours or a few hours to wind down. So you finally go to sleep, and it's late, and then you have, if they're fly dates, if there's a lot of fly dates involved, it's like 5:30 or 5 a.m. lobby call, 6 a.m. flight. You're getting 4 hours a night of sleep, and after 1 or 2 or 3 weeks of that, you're
really starting to tire out.
You're shriveling up.
Yeah. So, like I said, I wish I'd had those instruments back then. I decided to sort of cut down the touring a little bit after my daughter was born, because I wanted to be at home more. So I got more into teaching. I'm teaching at 2 music universities. I'm still touring every now and then, but I'm picking very well my tours.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend like half year on the road.
I don't know that I never say never.
Right.
Right. I don't think that way. If something came along that, number one, was with people that I enjoy, that I enjoy being with, because when you're on the road, you're living with a group of people, and you're in very close proximity. Even in the most beautiful Prevost tour bus that's made, it starts to feel like living in a tuna fish can with 5 guys after a few days. So if it was guys that I really like, and it was music that I really like,
sure,
And the money,
it's the most fun in the world. Yeah,
and the pay I really liked, and the sleeping and traveling arrangements I really liked, and the food that I get to eat, I really, you know, if a bunch of factors suited my lifestyle, I might do it.
Yeah.
I won't say I won't do it. But it's just not likely. And I have been offered things, you know, and consistently I do get offered things. And what I usually tell them is get someone who's more hungry for it. Get someone who really needs the experience and really wants to be out there, and they're just, you know, really hungry for it, because I don't want to be a complainer. And I don't want to be an extra needy person that throws down a whole bunch of like, I need this and I need that and I need this and that. It's easier for me to say I'm not a good fit.
Yeah.
Now, if someone was to come to me and say it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, and it checked all my boxes, then maybe I would.
Same here.
Maybe I would.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
you know what I was going to say about the Will Lee? It's cool that it has the thinner nut.
Oh yeah, it's so comfortable to play, man.
Yeah.
It's a great bass, and the neck feels great, and I love the fretwork they did on it, and it's just an overall, it's my go-to bass these days. That's why I brought it.
It's got really pretty figuring.
Yeah, it's the Murado fretboard, and also it has the Will Lee preamp, you know, with a mid section, you know, the mid switch, which helps, you know, cut through the mix even better.
You know, I did a demo with the Sadowsky Metro Express version of the Will Lee, and after I made the video, I was sitting at home, you know, because I'm friends with Will on Facebook. I'm not like, we don't go to the cinema together, but we know who each other are, and I was kind of debating, you know, should I reach out to him, and I just said, oh, what the heck, I can't hurt. So I sent him a message, and I said, Hi Will, we recently produced this video for the Metro Express version of your signature bass, etc. I hope you like it. And he wrote me back a really, really nice, he's, you know,
That's
very
great.
Complimentary and a very nice, polite, thanking me and saying that it was great, and he thought it was good and everything. So I was just kind of like, you know, I can hang my hat on that. Will's happy, Hans Peter's happy, Nico's happy, Roger's happy, everybody's happy. Cool. And he's a great guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's just, but that was a nice way to kind of bring us together in a way that never would have been possible if not for all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you here this week here in Germany.
Man, we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do some playing.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you some questions about, because I know you do so much with music education, and you have an extensive music education. I want to talk about all different kind of stuff, like you've done a lot of pit gigs and things like that, and playing with an orchestra and session work, because we, as us bass players, we tend to be a jack of all trades, and I think that's been probably what has enabled me to have such a wide range of experiences in my life with the bass, is being able to do a variety of different gigs and play a variety of different styles of music, and we can talk about all that kind of stuff. And
So Andy, man, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Very much looking forward to this week. We are going to create a ton of content for you guys, so stick with us, hit the like and subscribe buttons, hit the bell for notifications on new videos. If you want to find out more about Sadowsky basses, please go to sadowskybass.com. See you next time.
Peace.